everyone, welcome to an all-new Geek World Order video. Randy here, and today we are continuing our look into the first season of X-Men 97, streaming on Disney+. We're up to episode 9, the next to last episode of the season. Extinction is Tolerance Part 2 is the second of a 3-parter, so there's going to be a lot of moving pieces in this episode that set us up for the ultimate finale in the final episode. Just some notes here, of course. So Wolverine is the one that does the previously on X-Men for this episode. So more than likely there will be something involving him this episode. And yeah, there definitely is. If you've seen the episode by now, you know what it is, and we'll get to that. So we open up with some scenes. Professor X is woken up on Earth. He's kind of getting used to the fact that he's doesn't have the use of his legs anymore. He doesn't have the Shi'ar suit. He's kind of taking in some of the damage. He's in his wheelchair. Magneto is on his kind of wherever he takes refuge. He's got his old costume back on. You know, he eyes the helmet. He puts it on. I'm pretty sure he knows Charles is there. Bastion is carrying his mother's deactivated body because she was activated as a Prime Sentinel. You know, basically at this point she seems dead because of Magneto's, you know, kind of his EMP pulse. All the Prime Sentinels are deactivated at this point. And he seems to be genuinely sad, and he's crying here. So we kind of do that. We also get a scene of Roberto and Jubilee being chased by the Friends of Humanity, and I think some other human protesters as well. But luckily, Storm and Forge come in, so they get the reuniting there. And Forge has a rocket boot in his prosthetic leg because, of course, he does. So we're at the X-Mansion. We learn there's roughly about 12 hours left before the world pretty much goes into irreversible damage. So, yeah, pretty much we have to have some things happen. We get a scene of Xavier and Scott confronting one another. And basically they kind of have at it. You know, Professor X is basically like, you know, I left it to Magneto. I wanted you guys to have a life. You were my first students. I wanted you to be able to break away and enjoy the life that you created. And unfortunately, Cyclops kind of like, yeah, but unfortunately, fate just kind of kept us here, brought us back. We'd wind up at this point anyway, pretty much. And Scott just kind of walks off. Yeah, it's basically, we get Rogue waking up to Nightcrawler watching over her. He basically kind of fills her in that, you know, Trask survived. And yeah. We get Storm and Forge coming in. Jean and Storm have a nice reuniting moment. So, very nice little moment there between them. Hank kind of notices Forge's prosthetic. And he's like, yeah, basically I made a safeguard against this kind of thing a while back. So yeah, that definitely came in handy. So the X-Men are all gathered in the what is left of the war room. They pretty much come to the conclusion that they basically have to stop Bastion and Magneto at the same time. So to do this, they are going to split up into 2 teams, the gold and blue teams, to take on those 2 different things. And of course, we kind of have to figure out how Bastion is controlling everything, because eventually at some point he had to have had a command center. And basically, Charles goes a little more into Bastion's powers and how he tried to recruit him. Basically, because of Bastion's abilities, he is the command center. All of this flows directly through Bastion. And yeah, Bastion could have been one of the original X-Men. Professor X actually came to him, but pretty much his mother slammed the door in his face. We go to Hank and Forge in the lab, doing the science bro stuff, and that's a cool scene. They're pretty much working on a device that would scramble his powers enough that it would break his hold over the Prime Sentinels and give them an advantage. And they're kind of working on it. You know, they could go as far as fully neutralizing his powers. Storm is like, yeah, let's not go that far. Like, she's got the lightning in her eyes, and she's like, I'm like, okay, we're not gonna go that far. We're not gonna go that far. Alright, so we get a scene of Rogue and Xavier out by the lake at the school. You know, of course, Professor X is talking to her, you know, about the pain she's going through, and he's kind of like, you know, I'm surprised Remy wasn't buried here. You know, he always tried to escape his past. And yeah, it gets a little tense. But also notice during this scene, she's wearing Gambit's jacket. So she does have that part of him to hold on to. And we'll come back to that later in the episode. But their moment doesn't last super long because Magneto shows up. And he's got Asteroid M literally right behind him. So, of course, we have the kind of the standoff between Magneto and Charles. Basically kind of going back and forth about their different visions and, you know, how Magneto tried to walk Xavier's line, his vision. And ultimately, he's more or less going back to his old ways, but he gives the X-Men a choice to join him on his new Genosha, his rebuilding, another attempt at Asteroid M. Now, in this case, Rogue and Roberto both join him, which it makes sense. They are going through some extreme pain. Rogue, of course, has seen death, destruction, witnessed it firsthand. And Roberto was literally turned into the authorities by his own mother. So yeah, kind of makes sense for them. And in kind of maybe a more symbolic gesture, something with some meaning to it, she takes Gambit's jacket off and lays it on the back of Professor X's chair. So she's kind of left that behind. She's left the X-Men behind. And she kind of goes off on a point. You know, she's seen the death, the destruction. And she's even like, you know, who's going to die next? Jean, been there, done that. But Morph was barely on the team 30 minutes before we left him to die. Which, yeah, because Morph, of course, Night of the Sentinels, the original first episode of the X-Men animated series, Morph was on screen for about 30 minutes as he was hit by the blast from the Sentinels at the end of the first part there. And yeah, we pretty much assumed he was dead at that point. So yeah, she doesn't want to see the death, the destruction, so she goes with him. So yeah, so we get moving forward, the X-Men are sent to Genosha. There are a whole bunch of vehicles and Easter eggs in that scene in the hangar. One is the Wolverine mutant cycle. Just look that up. It's literally just like a toy version. It's like a toy motorcycle. It's got the Wolverine colors in his brown and gold colors. And I think it's got like a thing where like the front of it flips from like the motorcycle to Wolverine's face. It's just a nice little Easter egg there. Just to see that. That was so funny. We get a moment between Scott and Cable. You know, they're still kind of tense. He's giving them, you know, the pep talk. And as we see everyone kind of putting on their new uniforms, or I guess their old uniforms that haven't been destroyed at this point, Cyclops hands Cable a uniform. And Cable's like, am I going to a circus or a war? And just a great line, Scott goes, what did you expect? Black leather? Which is a complete dig at the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, because there was a very similar line in the first movie where Wolverine's like, y'all go out like this? And Cyclops in that movie's like, what'd you expect? Yellow spandex? So, nice little full circle moment. Nice little dig at those X-Men movies. So we have a scene where Xavier and President Kelly are talking. They're doing it through the astral plane, but Xavier kind of made it look like Kelly's office, and he's pretty much Kelly is willing to give Xavier a chance, but pretty much if they're not successful, his hands are tied, and and this is referring to the Magneto protocols. So basically, they're going to stop Magneto one way or another. We get the X-Men changing into their new costumes. So we have the split of the teams. First, we see the gold team, which is Jean, Storm, Forge, Beast, Morph, and Cable. So before they get before the battle starts, Jean and Storm have a nice moment. Get that cool line of, make them mind your weather and them weather your mind. Great little moments between Jean and Storm, so that's cool. Pretty much we get the battle happening. Bastion Sentinels attack the team. They go through heavy combat. Morph turns into the Hulk. Straight up turns into the Hulk and even yells Morph Smash. So even just in these insane moments where so much action going on, they can still get some nice comedy in here just to lighten the mood when they need to, and fantastic. Beast rips through one of the Sentinels, rips its hand off, gets off a quip of what is the sound of one hand clapping, and literally takes the hand that's attached by the cable, swings the thing, and just smacks the Sentinel in the face with its own hand. Beast, you got a nice moment to shine there, buddy. The whole thing. And then we get the showdown between Sinister and Jean. They're fighting through this city, kind of Bastion's fake made-up city, and they fight through a bowling alley, and Jean's throwing bowling balls at him, and they fight, and Sinister's taunting him. He's even like, oh, if you ask nicely, I could tell you when I switched you out. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Because at that point, she has Madeline's memories. I guess there was a moment where presumably Madeline died. So Jean has all the memories, and basically, and it really doesn't matter at this point. So, not sure we're going to learn that. But yeah, the animation is so top-notch. It's so good. Because we didn't get to see a lot of Sinister's fighting style in the original cartoon, just with the budgets and everything back then. So it is nice to get Sinister in more of a fighting role and seeing really what his powers allow him to do, especially with kind of his shape-shifting and how he can kind of shadow around, basically, is the best way I can say it. He basically turns himself into a shadow and creeps around, and very well animated. But we do go to the blue team on Asteroid M. This infiltration team is Cyclops, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and Professor X. So we get some initial contacts. Rogue and Wolverine square off. Roberto and Jubilee square off. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Jubilee's on this team as well. I knew I was forgetting someone on my list. But overall, it seems more defensive. They don't seem like they're trying to, actually hurt one another. It's almost like Rogue isn't, actively trying to hurt Wolverine. It's just more deflecting him. And same thing with Roberto and Jubilee. They're kind of just bouncing shots at each other. So. And basically, they go through, Xavier tries to do his speech. And Magneto is just like, I have waited so long to say this, Xavier. Shut up. And just straight up slaps a piece of metal over his face. Now, in the hubbub, they do manage to get the helmet off of Magneto. Wolverine is able to jump behind him, pulls the helmet off. We go back to Bastion's island. Morph sneaks in as Sinister, tries to get in and infiltrate, but Bastion is having none of it. He's like, no. Someone like Sinister, no, he's not going to show concern. So, pretty much right through that. Forge and Storm are in the jet. Pretty much the gold team is taken down one by one at this point. But we do get to Jean and Gable. So Sinister, of course, he inserted the virus into Nathan. So we see one of Sinister's control crystals on Cable's forehead. And yeah, holy crap. And we also learned that, I mean, I'm sure if I'd read more X-Men comics, I would know that Cable has the telekinetic powers, and he unleashes them. Jean projects out to Cyclops, basically, and we're not sure at that point if she's dead or not, or at least neutralized. So, yeah. Oh boy. So we do get out to, but yeah, Wolverine was able to grab the helmet, and Professor X starts to go into Magneto's mind, but Cyclops hits Xavier with his optic blast. Unfortunately, he's like, hey, he's like, yeah, no, Gold Team needs more time. Obviously they haven't neutralized Bastion yet, and if they stop Magneto and reverse the EMP, they need Bastion neutralized. Is the problem. So, totally get it. But unfortunately, this pretty much gives Magneto the opening he needs. He's able to pull his helmet with his magnetism, and he throws it onto Charles's head. So that basically, and you know, it is established at this point now that the helmet blocks Charles's powers. He can't access Magnus's mind with it. So apparently, if Charles has the helmet, he can't use his telekinetic powers. So Wolverine comes up and hits Magneto right through the ribs. It's like, I've been in a lot of wars, bub. The brave always die first. And, oh boy. Magneto, he is done with Wolverines. He is done with Wolverine at this point. He's like, this fight ends. And, first, I mean, I'm sure you need him for the power, but why was Wolverine on this mission? Why do we take Wolverine on missions against Magneto, who has the power of magnetism, can control metal? Magneto rips the adamantium right out of Wolverine's body. He went full nuclear and just straight up, in a scene that is straight up lifted from the comics, rips the adamantium out of Wolverine. And we fade to black. So yeah, a lot has happened in this episode. There's a lot going on. And yeah, that final episode is going to have so much going on. Things are going to get crazy. Oh boy. So yeah, this one ends on a holy crap moment. So yeah, that was Extinction, Tolerance's Extinction Part 2. One episode left in this season. This season's been so good. The animation is superb. The stories have been amazing. It has been just so good. One more episode. Let's finish it strong, guys. That'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments below what you think, what your theories are, where you think things could be going. And I'll see y'all in the next one, guys.